right, shalom, shalom. All praise to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to your hopefully elect. All right, and just through the Spirit, back at it again, man. Man, because oftentimes, I wake up and the Spirit just hits you with a lesson, and all day you just, or the Spirit, you'll wake up and the Spirit will hit you with a topic, and all day you're just thinking about precepts and whatnot. So, just one of those cases, right? But nevertheless, I'm gonna go ahead and start off with this. All right. In First Peter chapter 4, and verse 1, it says, "For as much then as Hamashiach hath suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind. For he that hath suffered in the flesh hath ceased from sin." All right. Because a part of being in this truth, now, of course, it's not going to happen overnight. All right. And this is what we are learning. We're being taught. We're being groomed, prepped. The scripture said we're being meat for the master's use. And, going into that, if I'm not mistaken, that word meat, it comes from an old English word, to wit, to basically to fashion, to make ready. All right. And Lord willing, we're of that number. This is what is taking place within us. The Lord is working a special work in us. All right. Because the brothers say it all the time at the camp, the Lord is not going to allow anyone to sit with his son, to be around his son, Yahushai. And again, Lord willing, we're of that number. This is what we're being prepped, groomed. All right. To be able to, partake at the Lord's counsel, to be able to sit at the Lord's table. All right. And the scriptures also talk about how, because Yahushua, he was the first and the last. All right. The Alpha and Omega. It started with him. And, ultimately he's going to be the finisher. The scriptures refer to Yahushua as the first Adam, and he's the last Adam. And even when it comes to the only begotten of the Heavenly Father, the only creation made by the Heavenly Father himself, Yahushua, he had to learn too, he had to go through it too, and likewise us, Lord willing, we're that number, man. We got to go through the straight gate, but a part of this process, we are learning to just drop everything, right? And put our trust, faith completely in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. All right. Like these fake and phony Christians say, and I'll select it because I forget the elder who mentions it, or might be one of the apostles. They talk about how, because a lot of these Christians, they make these statements, but they plagiarize the scriptures, man. Because a lot of these statements that these fake Christians make, for the most part, some of them be true, but they plagiarize it. And one of those sayings that these Christians say, man, is, hey, you got to let go and let God. Well, that's true. And like I said, this isn't something that happens overnight. All right, we have to be taught what it is to, really just let the Lord just take control, So just, going back to the lesson at hand, man. I'm gonna get two quick precepts. All right, one in Deuteronomy. There's one in Deuteronomy and one in Joshua, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm gonna get this in Deuteronomy, chapter 30. Because if Yahushai, now this thing, it all boils down to faith. All right. And if Yahushua told his disciples before he left the scene, how, it is expedient for me that I must go, so that the spirit of the comforter may come down, right? because this is what the Lord ultimately, this is what he requires of us above all things, is our faith, our complete dependence, trust in him. And again, this is what we're learning, you know. And again, it's not a thing that's going to happen overnight. You can't just wake up, you can't just pray for faith and then wake up and just, oh, I have faith. Nah, you know. And that's why the scriptures say the Lord, well, we would glorify the Lord in the fires, man, you know. Through our trials and tribulations, we will learn to just, hey, because we understand the bigger, the greater purpose. Like I mentioned, the Lord is working a great work in us, through us, for us. And hell, even when the missiles come, all right, hey, the elect, they're going to be praising Yahweh Shema in those fires as well, right? But it's a process, all right? And we are learning. The Lord is teaching us to just, hey, let it all go, and just, we're being taught, trained to just cleave unto the Lord, man. And just one beautiful example that I want to use through the Spirit, I'll get that later. I'm going to get two quick ones. In Deuteronomy 38, starting at verse 20, says, matter of fact, I started verse 19. Matter of fact, I'll start at verse 15. It says, see, I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil. Put this thing on do not disturb, because brothers know, you know, when you decide to do a video, that's when everyone was to call, text. That's when all the notifications come in. So Deuteronomy 30 and 15. See, I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil. And you see, listen, the straight, or excuse me, the narrow path, all right, the path that leads to destruction, it's easy. And if there wasn't such thing as free will, if the Lord really left it up to us to choose, listen, I'm sure, I could just, speaking as a man, but humbly speaking, I'm sure we can all say that we'd all choose the broad path, all right, the path that leads to destruction, you know, for the most part. We'd all choose that path because it's easy. But the Lord has a special spirit on his elect to where, hey, we're just going to say, you know, Lord, whatever thy will is, let thy will be done, right? It says, in that day I commend thee this day to love the Lord, thy power to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments, and his statutes and his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply. And the Lord thy power shall bless thee in the land, whether thou goest to possess it. Because that's what all this is going to lead to at the end of the day, all right? Immortality, all right? I'm gonna get this real quick, and because we can't inherit the kingdom. Just picture the man that you were, the woman that you were before the truth. Listen, we wouldn't be able to inherit the kingdom like that. So that's why we had to start fresh. The Lord had to hit us with a factory reset, and we had to come again and be born again, and you know. Because in this society, we've been taught to think contrary to Yahweh Shema Shai, which when the scriptures talk about walking in the statutes, laws, statutes, commandments, it goes into a way of life, a way of living, a way we ought to conduct ourselves. And prior to this truth, we were conducting ourselves in a way that was contrary to Yahweh Shema Shai. We couldn't inherit the kingdom like this. We couldn't live in the kingdom like this before we got into the truth. No, man. So that's why we had to learn again. We had to be born again. Let me get this in 2 Ezra chapter 7. Second Ezra 7. I believe that's verse 44. One of this thing will load up. Just give me a minute. Any day now. All right, because before that day of doom takes place, man, which Lord willing, that I'm about to get it. You know, hey, that's all on us, the hopeful elect. We got to get to a point where I did a video a few days ago going into how, hey, growing in this thing, man, leveling up. The Lord needs us to get to a point where he's satisfied with us, and we, you know, fulfill our measure according to the Spirit. And because oftentimes we We are, in that hasteful spirit, which we ought to be, but we're in that spirit of, hey, Lord, because we want the Lord to come back tomorrow. I mean, Slaki, we want the Lord to come back yesterday, right? Here it is, we're looking at the Lord like, Lord, when are you going to do this? When are you going to bring destruction? When are you going to, But at the same time, hey, in James, the 5th chapter, talks about the precious fruit of the earth. The Lord is waiting on us too, man. There's things that we got to get our shit together. All right, so before we obtain the kingdom, hey, there's certain things that have to take place. Prophecy, for prophecy's sake, there's certain things that we got to learn. The elect have to learn. Right? I'm going to have to look this up on it. Go on Google real quick. Bear with me. 2nd Ezra chapter, what is that? 2nd Ezra 7 and 44. That's it. It's just the app doesn't want to work. Yeah, that's it. So I'm gonna just go to it on the internet. 2nd Ezra chapter 4. Matter of fact, I'm gonna read verse 43 because I just mentioned it. 2nd Ezra 7 and 43. But the day of doom shall be the end of this time, and the beginning of the immortality to come, wherein corruption is past. So you see, man, that's why we got a full pedal to the metal. That's why we got to give it our all. And again, going back to the topic at hand, all right, because the Lord is teaching us to just lay it all on the line for Him. All chips, because it's coming down to all chips being bet on Yahweh Bashar Shai, or all chips being bet on Esau Edom. That's what it's coming down to. There's no in between that the scriptures talk about. No lukewarm, no straddling the fence. It's all coming down to who are you going to pledge your allegiance to 100%. And again, Lord willing, we're that number. Hey, we're just learning to just leave it all on the line, put it all in the hands of Yahweh Shemal Shai, man. All right, because again, there is no in between. So, again, it says, but the day of the doom shall be the end of this time and the beginning of the immortality to come, wherein corruption is past. So that's all I'm saying. Hey, according to faith, according to prophecy, according to what's written in the scriptures, we believe that this is the last time. This is the last go around for us. All right. After this, hey, there's no more bullshit. None of this is it. But before we obtain the kingdom, hey, these things have to happen. All hell has to break loose. We have to go through the straight gate. We got to go through the hour of temptation. But we're learning, we're being taught to, Lord willing, we're standing that hour of temptation. Right? Because as I mentioned in the beginning, hey, it comes with this a part of this truth that comes with a certain mindset. All right. Verse 44 says, intemperance is at an end, infidelity is cut off, righteousness is grown up, and truth is sprung up. All right. Now, that's not what I wanted, but the Spirit brought it out anyways. All right. Because in this truth, we all learn to be temperate, learning to rule over control ourselves, discipline. That's where the word disciple comes from, a disciplined student. All right. We're learning to walk with integrity. All right. The scriptures talk about the fruits of the Spirit. Right? The Spirit wanted that to come out, because what I wanted was, and it's crazy how, it just came to me, Wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 8. I'm sorry, is it? Bear with me. Wisdom of Solomon. Yeah, Wisdom of Solomon chapter 8. I'll start at verse. Wisdom of Solomon 8. I'll start at verse 7. I'll start at verse 4. Wisdom of Solomon 8 and 4. For she is privy to the mysteries of the knowledge of the Most High and the love of his works. Talking about wisdom. Because, hey, listen, and it's going to show in that day, all right? Wisdom is one of, if not the most precious commodity, all right, above any amount of dollars, gold, silver. And again, because wisdom, it puts us in a position to where we obtain favor from the Lord, man. Wisdom puts us in it puts you in a very obtainable favor. Because in that day, the Lord is going to show, contrary to what these people think, man, hey, the Lord does have favorites. And hell, he even has favorites within his favorites. He has favorites even within the elect. The elect in general are the Lord's favorite. But even within that, the favorites, the Lord has favorites within the elect. But, you know, nevertheless, overall, only the elect are going to apply wisdom. Only the elect are going to, you know, use this, you know, through the Spirit of the Lord. Because, again, it's, you know, this thing is a gift. So, you know, only the elect are going to be in a position to where they apply wisdom and obtain favor from the Lord. So verse 5, it says, if riches be a possession to be desired in this life, and this is what everyone is chasing. Again, you know, because like I said, ultimately, it's going to come down, there's no in between, there's no straddling the fence. It's going to come down to a choice of Yahweh Shem Shai or Esau. All right. And, you know, everyone in this society, for the most part, they're so concerned with chasing the bag. Well, hey, that's what Esau's going to use. You know, going back to the saying, the carrot on the stick. That's what everyone's chasing in this society. They're chasing that bag, man. Not knowing this shit is about to collapse. I was just watching a video today how I think it was Venezuela. They're let me just I'm not gonna play or anything. I'm gonna just look it up real quick because I was just watching it earlier. As far as their currency and how devalued it is, and this is just one of many examples. Argentina. It was Argentina. I'll just read the title real quick. It says Argentina battles with 109% inflation. So you see, man, you know, like I said, this is just one of many examples. All right, because again, everyone's putting their trust, and that's the thing. Going back to the topic at hand. All right, everyone's putting their all into Esau, his system, chasing his bag. But the elect, the hopefully elect, we're putting our trust, we're putting all everything we've got into Yahweh B'Shem Shai, man. He's teaching us to just, hey, man, the hell with this shit. Fuck this shit, man. Just, Lord, you got me. The Lord got me. And as I always say, it's a thing of confidence, not cockiness. Because the scriptures tell us the elect, they're going to boast in the Lord all the day long. So, hey, you know, because it's just times where you don't feel it, man. But at the same time, you got to look yourself in the mirror and just like, man, hey, the Lord is dealing with me, man. Out of all the billions of people on the planet, all right, because the elect, that's a very, now make no mistake about it. And me and the brothers from the camp, man, months ago, a long time ago, we, you know, and I still pondering it. We watched this video of a stadium. I might even did a video on it. A stadium of, I think it was like 100,000 people. It might have been like 10,000 people. I think it was 100,000 people because the elect men, we were talking about how that crowning process with the 144,000 men, right? Now it seems like a lot, like a you know, a very small number, which compared to the world population it is. But we watched this video of a stadium filled with 100,000 people, man, and it's like, damn, that's a lot of people, you know. Or it was either 10,000 people or 100,000 people, but nevertheless, it looks like a small number. But like I said, man, you know, hey, compared to the world population, hey, it is a very small number, you know. But this is what we're fighting for, you know. This is what we're fighting for, right? But I just say that to say, because again, it's just like, man, out of all the billions of people that the Lord could have called, Because if you have this truth, you're called. Just make no mistake about it. You're called. We're called. It's a matter of being one of the chosen. But like I was saying, man, it's just, we have those moments where it's just like, man, you know, low confidence, low self-esteem, or whatever the case may be. But at the same time, it's like, man, you got to look yourself in the mirror. And it's like, man, the Lord called me. Out of all the people, he called me. He called you. You know, he called you. So, hey, wear that title proudly. You know, wear it with confidence. You know, and act the part. Because we don't know if we're of the elect, but hey, the scriptures say we put on as if we are of the elect. So, you know, what would the elect do? I'm gonna just say this through the Spirit. The same thing that brothers of Great Millstone and brothers that follow like-minded doctrine start with the apostles, man. You know, they be doing the same thing that we're doing. But in back in Wisdom of Solomon 8:5, it says, if riches be a possession to be desired in this life, again, like I was saying, everyone's fighting for the incorruptible crown, or excuse me, everyone's fighting for the corruptible crown, the bag, right? Like I said, this shit is about to collapse real soon, right? Everyone's putting their all into this shit, right? It says, what is richer than wisdom that worketh all things? So like I said, wisdom, man, hey, it puts you in a position to where, hey, the Lord, he'll show you favor, man. He'll show you favor. And like I said, it's going to show in that day, man. Like the scriptures say, in that day is going to be made known who the Lord was dealing with. It says, and if prudence work, who of all that are is a more cunning workman than she? And if a man love righteousness, her labors are virtuous. For she teacheth temperance. So that's, you know, the Spirit had me read that 2nd Ezra 7, starting at 40, what was it, 43, 44. Going into how intemperance, you know, going into the intemperance. It says, for she teaches temperance and prudence, justice and fortitude. So that's the point. And that's why I read that, hey, the scripts, like I just read it in the beginning, have arming ourselves with the same like mind that Yahweh shot, because it was, again, part of this mind, this truth is having a certain mindset, man. And part of this mindset that we have to have is a fortitude type of mindset, you know, of endurance, staying strong, diligent, fervent, you know, that fortitude, hey, you know, because, you know, Jake be, listen, you know, you can't get it handed out all the time, Jay. You gotta, there's some things you just gotta look into yourself. So with that being said, through the Spirit, hey, just a little homework to those who may make concern. Look up fortitude. Look up the definitions of fortitude. All right, because that's the type of mindset that we have to have, and this is what we're developing. This is what we're learning. You know, so going back to the topic at hand, hey, cleaving unto the Lord, man. Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and get this. Well, I read this in Deuteronomy 30. I'll read it again. Deuteronomy 30. I'll read it again. Deuteronomy 30 and verse, what was that, 20? It says, matter of fact, the point is in 20, but Deuteronomy 30 and verse 17. Deuteronomy 30 and 17. But if thine heart turn away so that thou wilt not hear, but thou shalt be drawn away and worship other gods and serve them, I denounce you unto this day that ye shall surely perish, and that ye shall not prolong your days upon the land whether thou passest over Jordan to go to possess it. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live, that thou mayest love the Lord thy power, and that thou mayest obey his voice, and that thou mayest cleave unto him. So that's the point. All right, going back to the topic at hand, you know, and again, I want to get that example through the Spirit, man, you know, on how we got to cleave unto the Lord, because in it, that's the only way we're going to be prosperous. That's the only way we're going to be so-called successful. All right. And it, quite frankly, it leads to immortality. It leads to everlasting life. It says, for he is thy life and the length of thy days. that thou mayest dwell in the land of the Lord, swear, Slack that thou mayest dwell in the land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them. So, you see, man, all right, with that being said, this is what's going to lead to, like I just said, to immortality. As I said, or that as I read, all right, you know, corruption coming to an end, corruption being a thing in the past. But before we get to that point, hey, there's things that we have to learn, we have to develop. There's a mindset that we have to develop. There's, you know, there's things that the Lord, he has to show us before we obtain this incorruptible crown. Because like I said, these people, they're fighting for a corruptible crown. What is things that the Lord has set out for us? Because a lot of us, we wanted to be musicians, artists, rappers, actors, sports players, all that. But the Lord's like, no, I got something else for y'all, man. You know, and it's far more greater. Right? But before we obtain it, hey, the Lord has to put us through the ringer to teach us a valuable lesson. And in those that you know, putting us through it, man, hey, putting us through the fire, we learn certain qualities. All right, integrity, things of that nature, so on and so forth. All right. So I want to get another quick one in Joshua chapter 22. I'll start at verse 5. It says, but take diligent heed to the commandment of the Lord. But take diligent heed to the commandment and the law. And when you go to that word diligent, when you go into diligence, man, listen, it's a fervent, it's a fervent giving it your all. You know, giving it your all, man, putting your all into it. Assertiveness. Right? So when we do that, because like I said, hey, we're learning to just give the Lord our all, man, putting our best foot forward. As I always say, we're putting our best foot forward to the Lord. Right? And if we do that, then we'll be successful, prosperous. Right? It says, which Moses, the servant of the Lord, charged you to love the Lord your power and to walk in all his ways and to keep his commandments. And like I said earlier, you know, when the scriptures talk about walking in the commandments, walking in the ways of Yahweh Shem Shai goes to a way we conduct ourselves. It's a lifestyle, way of living, right? It says, and to walk in all his ways and to keep his commandments and to cleave unto him and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul. So we got to put all into this. Just like 2/3, but they put their all into Esau. They put their all into the system. And to get in that bag, man. We got to be the same way in righteousness. Right? We got to cleave unto the Lord, man. Give it our best. Hey, because especially now, we're in the end. We're at the end of this is the end. This is it. Like I said in the beginning, hey, this is the last time we got to go through this bullshit. Wake up, working, you know, working for Esau. This is the last time we got to go through this shit. So why not full pedal to the metal? Give it your all. Give it your best shot, man. Right? You know? But with that, I'm going to get this. I'm going to go ahead and get this example where I got the title for this lesson. Matter of fact, before I get that, I'm going to get this. You gotta bring this out in Ecclesiasticus Sirach. Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, the 2nd chapter, verse 3. Cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end. So you see, man, all right. And listen, when you cleave onto something, you hold on to that bitch with everything that you've got to dear life, like a suckling on his mother, man. You hold on to that joint like your life depends on it. Because in most cases, and in this case with us, it does depend on it. Our life does depend on it. All right, cleaving onto Yahweh Shem Shai, because our life does depend on it, man. It is a matter of life and death. And like, as I've been reading, hey, choose ye this day, life or death. What, you know, that's what it's going to come down to, man. Right? Cleaving unto the Lord, man. Hey, cleave unto the Lord. So going to this is 1 Samuel chapter 23, verse I started verse 8. 2 Samuel, I'm sorry, I said 1 Samuel. 2 Samuel chapter 23, start at 8. These be the names of the mighty men whom David had: the Tachmonite that sat in the seat, chief among the captains. The same was Idino, the Esnite. He lifted up his spear against 800, whom he slew at one time. Verse 9, and after him was Eleazar, the son of the Ahohite, one of the 3 mighty men with David, when they defied the Philistines that were there gathered together to battle, and the men of Israel were gone away. Verse 10 is the point, because this is how we have to be in the spirit. All right. Verse 10, 2 Samuel 23 and 10. He arose and smote, talk about Eleazar, right? He arose and smote the Philistines until his hand was weary, and his hand clave unto the sword. And the Lord wrought a great victory that day, and the people returned after him only to spoil. All right. So listen, this man was so on fire, so fervent for the Lord. Well, you know, as far as, you know, his purpose at this time, because like I said, in the spirit, this is how we have to be. And what's our purpose? Serving Yahweh Shem Shai, Lord willing, crossing that finish line. Like I said, if you go to, again, just to show you how the spirit works, because I mentioned, you know, for brothers, do your homework. Go into the definitions, the similitudes of fortitude, because if I'm not mistaken, one of the definitions or similarities, it goes into endurance, if I'm not mistaken. All right. You know, because this is going to be a fight until the very end. Until we're getting beaten up in those chariots, Lord willing, this is going to be a fight until the very end. But this is why we have to have that fortitude, that mental fortitude. All right. Nothing can get in our way, man. Because, you know, if we just lay it all on the line for Yahweh Shem Shai, he's going to fight for us. He's going to take care of us. He's going to do it for us, man. We got nothing to worry about. Right? That's why the scriptures talk about hold fast, which we got, man. Hold fast to this truth. Hold fast to that crown, because, it's already been fronted to us. We just have to hold on to it. You know, if you hold fast to something, you know, you are locked in. All right. So that's how we have to be with this thing, man. We have to be with Yahweh Shem Shai, this truth, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. We have to hold fast to it, like our life depends on it, because it does. It's a matter of life and death. That's what, you know, a lot of they don't understand the seriousness of this thing, man. It is literally a matter of life and death. You know, like a roller coaster. If that seatbelt, if you've ever been on a roller coaster, if that seatbelt's not fastened, man, and let's say you're in mid-flight in the middle of the roller coaster, and that shit, you see a screw pop out, and you hold it fast to that shit, make sure that shit's tight. That's how we gotta be, man. Because the minute you let up, man, you're gonna go flying out that roller coaster, man. So you're gonna hold on to that shit like it's a matter of life and death, because it is. That's the seriousness of this thing, man. It's a matter of life and death. That's how serious this is, man. And I've told brothers, man, more and more, I've been in the spirit, because, and I forgot, one of the elders, it might be the elder Yashawamba, he often makes a statement about how, this thing of ours, man, as far as the brotherhood, the brothers, and, you know, the fellowship, and it's more than just talking shit, claiming bitches, drinking wine, and eating chicken. You know, and I added a few things because, you know, but it's more to it than that, man. And I'm more and more through the spirit, I'm starting to really understand the seriousness of this thing, man. This thing is serious. It's more than just kicking it with brothers and just drinking wine and eating chicken, man. It's more to it than that. You know, I'm starting to really more and more understand the seriousness, and because it's a matter of life and death. You know, especially now as things are going to get tougher, things are going to get harder, man. Know what you're involved in. That Apostle Gabar always says, know what you're involved in. You Israelites, know what you're involved in, man. Because it's serious. We're talking about the Lord's business. Understand, we are the, Lord willing, we are the servants of the King of the universe. We're serving the King of the universe. That's no light title. That's no light thing. You know? But I'm going to read it again in 2 Samuel 23 and 10. It says, he arose and smote the Philistines until his hand was weary, and his hand clave unto the sword. And what's our sword? This truth, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Yahweh Shema Shai, man. All right, because I was reading on this, you know. This was some time ago, right? And you know, I was reading on how Eleazar, you know, his hand was so. Because matter of fact, when you read this in the NLT, well, not the NLT, I'm gonna read this in the New King James Version. All right. It says he arose and attacked the Philistines until his hand was weary, and his hand stuck to the sword. The Lord brought about a great victory that day, and the people returned only after him only to plunder. So you see, it said his hand was stuck to the sword. Now it was said, this isn't doctrine, but just from what I was reading upon, you know, just from what I read upon, all right, it said that this man, his hand was so stuck to the sword that they actually had to take his hand, you know, take his hand off the sword, because his fingers were so pried to the sword. Jake actually had to take his hand off the sword, because like I just said, his hand was stuck to the sword. That's how fervent, and you know, we can only imagine how, you know, Jake was swinging that thing. You know, he was swinging that sword, and he was zealous. He was, you know, we can only imagine. But that's how we got to be, glued, locked in, you know, stuck. You know, when you go into cleave it, like I said, like a mother, like a childling, like a suckling with his mother, we got to hold on to dear life. That's how we got to be with this thing. That's how we got to be with Yahweh Shema Shai. That's what we're learning, to just be detached from this place, and just, you know, leave it all in the hands of Yahweh Shema Shai. Like, Lord, you just, you know, like a child with his parent, because essentially that's what we are. We're just like children with our father, man. You know, and like any child attached to their father, hey, you know, it's like you can't get this little nugget off you. Well, that's how we got to be. That's how we got to be. You know. So Lord, one of this was edifying, giving all praise to Yahweh Bashim Shai. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to you, hopefully elect. Shalom, shalom.